So there's two stories that I know of that are very credible. William Jevning wrote one of them in one of his books. So apparently this account took place at night. A man that was local to the area just went out on his truck, parked along the side of one of these roads out here, and went into the timber to collect firewood. Now, he reported that he was, if I remember correctly, he was using a chainsaw on some firewood and just cutting cords out. And it was nighttime. He had a headlamp on, okay? And a lot of times people, you bring a flashlight out here, you got to make sure you get the right kind. A lot of times people bring these floodlights that just don't reach more than 20 feet or so. You know, you got to get a thrower if you really want to see what's in the timber and behind the trees and stuff. But this man did see clearly. He saw, as he was cutting down these cords out, he saw something watching him. Hold on, buddy. He saw a giant, about 10 to 11 foot man type being with its arms crossed. Now its arms were crossed, you know, I don't know if I could do it right now. Its arms were crossed like you would just, I could probably put a picture in, just like this. He was standing up, and they know he was about 10 to 11 feet because of the branch that was right next to him. His headlamp hit it. He must have had a decent headlamp because he could see it, and it was just at the end of that lamp, but he was able to identify it was a tall, freaky looking man covered in hair with its arms crossed. This is literally the only sighting that I've ever heard of out of the thousands I've heard where their arms are crossed. Now, apparently the guy was just watching the dude cut cords out with a chainsaw, and it wasn't going to hurt him. It was just watching him. You know, these things live out here. They could have killed us 1,000 times over by now. There's another encounter that I know of in the area. It's actually a very, very detailed encounter. Shh. Huntley, stop. I'm not going to give his name. I haven't talked to him. Actually, I have talked to him personally on Messenger, just briefly. And I wanted to know more information. But he has had extensive experience. Basically came upon them unintendedly. He was out here hunting with a fellow buddy of his, and he was going to different spots, and one didn't work out, went to another spot, and then another spot, and then apparently found himself in an area very similar to here right now. Okay, so he was with his buddy. They were scouting, so they weren't actually hunting. They were scouting the area, I believe. And that's why he had an AR-15 and not an actual hunting rifle. But they were scouting, scouting with his buddy, hunting for deer, I believe. And he saw a window, like an opening, you know, deep in the forest down there. But he saw a face in it. So when we say a window, there's so thick, full of foliage. But sometimes there's like nothing behind, like a little opening, except maybe it's like 30 feet back, so you can see more in what would be in that area because it's so thick out here in the Pacific Northwest. So that's what we would refer to like a window or an opening where there's something like thick foliage, but then there's a part that's broken up, and then there's nothing behind that for 30 feet or so, or more even. But so he saw a face in there, bigger than a human's face, but looked kind of like a human's face, freaky looking. He freaked out. His buddy did not see it, but he said, I just saw, I think he did say the word Sasquatch or Bigfoot, but his buddy said, no way. They went down to where the area was. The being had fled, but what that being had left behind was a leaf plate full of mushrooms and slugs and snails. So that was the other sighting in the area. But I gotta get going, so all right, see you later. Okay, the reason why I'm interested in the topic right here is because I've seen quite a few beings myself. So barely have told anybody. I've seen a being with another person one time, actually 2 times. One of the time they weren't looking in the direction, and both of those were at night. I can get into those at different time, but The first one I saw was 10 years ago or so. I was on my motorcycle down one of these main roads in the valley here, and I just pulled over because my phone was ringing, and saw a herd of elk. So the elk bugling around in a circle together. Some of them were standing, some of them were sitting down, grazing, whatever. And I saw this window open, similar to the story that I was in the middle of telling. Let me rewind a little bit. I first heard what sounded like a basketball being bounced inside the house, like that muffled sort of boom, 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 boom sort of sound. I was on my phone checking my text. My helmet was off, my gloves were off, on the side of the road, no cars really going. And I kept hearing this boom, 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 boom. It wasn't very loud. It was just muffled and faint, almost like a grouse beating, but it was slower and it wasn't picking up speed. And I finally looked around and said, what's going on? That's when I saw a wall of hair move and this window open in the forest. With the window allowed me to see this herd of elk that was grazing, sitting around in a circle. Some of them standing, some of them were sitting. And then I was just in shock. This is the very first time I ever saw elk, and one of them bugled. Amazing noise. I was just in amazing awe. I felt like I was in Nat Geo or something like that, because I was just in shock and I was loving every second of it. Now, normally I would take my phone out, start taking photos and video and text a couple people maybe, or a picture of it. But what very quickly happened after I was in awe and felt like I was in Nat Geo was, I don't know if it was the wall of hair, if this is what came around, but what came around, boom, boom, these elk, was a gigantic hairy man that I initially did not even think Sasquatch. What I thought was, this is like, what the heck is this dude doing? But it was not a dude. It was very, very bulky and big. Bigger than a man, bigger than 6 feet, about 7.5 or 8 feet or more. But it was wide, like super wide. And I kind of initially thought, like, is this some type of Viking wearing, like, whoa, like, because it was reddish brown hair, and you know, like Scottish Vikings got red hair, so I didn't really get a detailed look. But what happened was, this guy came around, walking around, sidestepping around these elk. Then he squatted down, and I'm not going to say he turned into a tree, but what he looked like was a tree that had been broken at like 5 feet high, like a big cedar tree. And it looked like I don't know, when I saw that, I did not put my helmet on, I did not put my gloves on. I started the bike up, took off about 100 feet, pulled over again to put my helmet on, my gloves on, and then I really took off, and I freaking launched out of there. I was riding a KTM Duke 690, very good bike. It's my second bike I've ever had for a street bike, and I really love that bike. But yeah, it was just on a whim, man. When I pulled over on that road, my phone was going off. I saw these elk. After that window opened, this hairy man that was, like, to me initially, was like a gigantic Viking troll thing or something. Did never even think Sasquatch. And actually what happened as I was writing was, I told myself that was just another elk. That was just another elk. That was another elk I saw. It was not what I saw. What I saw was another elk. And I really just convinced myself that that's what I saw. And I got to kind of speed it up because my dog's in the car and stuff, and my kid. But yeah, this was my very first sighting about 10 or more years ago. Well, we're just checking out this river up here.
Wow, that's tall.
And look at the mountain up there.
Oh, that's golden mountain.
road doesn't wash out. So this road doesn't wash out.
It's like on that picture, the road was all washed out there and everything. But there was waterfall. But there's no culvert. But there's no culvert and the road all washed out.
What's crazy is how many animals live out here, but we don't see any of them usually. Thousands of bears, thousands of mountain lions, just everything, bobcats. Weasels, not weasels, well, there are mountain beavers and beavers, but there are wolverines. No one can even keep track of those things.
Yes. A bridge coming up.
Oh, bridge.
Yay! Should have fallen on this bridge.
Yeah.
Not sound.
Well, we went up a little bit, and I just turned around because you were asleep. So I just figured I'd make a quick video. Now we can take a little walk to stretch our legs. Then we'll drive back down the mountain or drive through.
I want to go back. But we should have.
Just because there's a bridge here doesn't mean we're nearby a town or anything. We're really out far away.
Yeah, can I look at this?
You wanna look? Okay, watch out for cars coming by. Oh, careful. Oh. Sometimes animals by the river systems, they cannot hear people walk up. So yeah, you gotta keep your eye out sometimes around these areas, because if something's around, they might not sense you or hear you coming up. So be very aware, especially around areas where animals and wildlife and Sasquatch, they can't really hear you coming up or sense you coming up. See something, buddy? Come on. Honey, come on. What? What? You what? Here, go back to the plane. Truly is mind-boggling to me how this can flow all year round. I mean, you got snow, you got rain, obviously, but yeah, it just keeps flowing. It's crazy. Obviously, it changes how much is going through there, how much water is going through, but it still is incredible. I love it. It's amazing. burn area over there where last year there was forest fires spread all around the area. Sometimes the natives have said they look like burnt stumps, you know, the forest people. So you gotta keep watch. Might be just a tree stump or it might be something else.
Super big crash.
Yeah, well that would hurt actually. You don't want to fall down there. You know, if you just step out of your car on the way up the mountain, it really is almost as relaxing as just being on the trail itself. You know, we weren't able to go on the trail today because the flies and the wasps and all those things. But anyway. Holding, man, this dog. Holding.
How about only be outside while you were driving the 4-runner while we inside the 4-runner? And Eddie runs after a bird, catch up to him. Or turbo. And say, hungry, stop. Ready? And say, why stop?
Honey, come on. Let's go.
Look at another drainage pipe. There's another drainage pipe.
Yeah.
Another one, blue one, right there. And that another gray one. Look at Daddy.
You gotta look behind you.
Look it. Look it.
Whoa, another one.
That one is flowing water.
Pretty cool.
That water flowing through it. Like the whisper I choose that has a flow cans for on it.
Forgive me for the camera handling. I'm holding
So I can
dog,
see the flow of the
boy on the
water.
shoulders.
Why the map is so there?
So I can exit out of it. If something comes up, I'm gonna have to let the dog go and pull out the defensive stuff. Oh shit. That's the waterfall. I heard a hissing sound.